Hey, what is up guys? So today we're going to be talking about the new archetype, the Burning Abyss, which is set to release in Duelist Alliance, and I kind of been holding out on talking about this archetype because we never got a boss monster for the deck, and it's kind of pointless to talk about an archetype without the boss monster, and they haven't announced that they're releasing a boss monster in Duelist Alliance at the moment, so this is what we're going to talk about, basically what is available right now. And the deck doesn't actually need a boss monster, but anyways, let's go ahead and first off jump into what the cards do, and then we will talk about what cards can be used in this deck to actually give them basically their boss monster. Anyway, so let's go ahead and kick it off with their XYZ monster, Dante, Traveler of the Burning Abyss. So it is a generic rank 3, a light monster, which is actually pretty important in the deck. And let's just go over his effect. So he's kind of like a card trooper. Once per turn, you can detach one material, send up to 3 cards to the graveyard, and gains 500 attack for each one. If it attacks, it switches to defense position, but it has 2,500 defense points, so it's not bad in that aspect. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to target one Burning Abyss card in your graveyard, except for itself, and then add it back to your hand. Now, the archetype kind of revolves around Tour Guide because everything at the moment right now is a level 3 Fiend monster. So they all have this effect that if you control no spell and trap cards, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if you control a monster that's not a Burning Abyss monster, you have to destroy the card. And you can only use one of the effects of him once per turn and only once that turn. So they all have that effect, so I'm not going to repeat that one. So Graf's ability is that once he's sent to the graveyard, he gets to special summon another Burning Abyss monster from your deck, except for the same copy of itself. Now, Sir's effect is if you sent to the graveyard, you can target one Burning Abyss monster in your graveyard, except for himself, and then you get to re-special summon it. And then Skarm over here, which is basically one of the best ones in my opinion, is during the end phase if this card was sent to the graveyard, you could add one level 3 Dark Fiend type monster from your deck to your hand, except for, of course, himself. Now that's a really insane effect, because what you're able to do is you can like Foolish Burrow this thing, end phase, add Tour Guide. Tour Guide, like I said, is what basically runs the deck, I would say. This is basically the go-to card. Makes Tour Guides super good. I mean, Secret Tour Guides jumped up like 1,000 times in price because of this archetype. And the archetype is definitely not bad. Like I said, they don't have any boss monster at the moment, but they can definitely come back perhaps in the future because there's this support card right here. The Traveler and the Burning Abyss. So you can target any number of Burning Abyss monsters in your graveyard that were sent there this turn, and you can just special summon in defense position, and you can only activate one of them per turn. Now, at the moment, there's not really anything that makes this card super good to play 3 copies of, in my personal opinion, at the moment. But like I said, Tour Guide basically runs the deck because Tour Guide negates that monster's effect, therefore it won't actually destroy itself, therefore you can XYZ, and then you can still detach and then get their effects anyways. So remember, kind of like how Card Trooper or anything that you're negating, that you're bringing back from like the graveyard or something like that, it's negating its effect. Some cards you can still pay their cost, like with Card Trooper you can still pay the cost to mill. You won't get that attack boost, but that doesn't really matter. And then once it goes to the graveyard, you get that other effect anyways of any of the Burning Abyss cards. But there's a lot of other cards that actually support this archetype. So that's it for the monsters of the Burning Abyss archetype, but there's so many cards that make this deck good. I mean, remember that you can use Skarm's effect to search out a level 3 Dark Fiend type monster, which is actually Curry Bandit, which kind of works with the deck anyway, so I think that is fantastic. You can also use Mathematician, so you can send whatever you really want to send. There's Ghost Trick All-You card that you can make in the deck, which is a relatively decent card. Also got a reprint. Armageddon Knight, there's Crane. You can also try Card Trooper. I'm not sure Card Trooper is really that useful in the deck. I almost find Mathematician a little bit better since you can decide what you want to send. So you can basically search out the Tour Guide, it's really what it comes down to, and then you can make your plays from there. But there's also a lot of other cards that can actually support this deck. There's actually the Downward Magician, which can just like, after you've used your card's effect, basically you can XYZ on top of XYZ. Is kind of like the Gaia, the Thunder Charger, which is actually pretty good. There's also Rank Up Astral Force. Now, what you can do in this deck, and this is kind of weird, I thought Dante would have been dark, because basically everything is dark, and none of them are fire. They're all dark, actually. The monsters, at least, as of right now. Of course, in the future, that might change. But Dante is light, which allows you to use a rank up Astral Force after you basically abuse Dante's effect twice, and then you've actually milled 6 cards, then whatever things you get extra free pluses, and then, of course, once it is sent to the graveyard, you're able to get another plus off of that. Anyways, so you can use rank up Magic, Astral Force, and you can make Pleiades, which is pretty cool. And if you happen to make like Alucard, you could maybe go for something like Adrius. That might be an option as well. I just think Constellar Pleiades is probably the best rank 5 that you can make in the game that's a light at the moment. I mean, there are some other cards you can make, but I still think Pleiades is probably one of the best. Also, what's important is you're able to bust out one of the best cards, BLS, in this deck because, of course, that Dante card is probably going to be the go-to first turn card so you can get some kind of free advantage as quickly as possible. And then there's also Dark Arm Dragon, which is actually a pretty decent card, and I feel like you can get 3 darks like no problem, real easy in this deck. And if you happen to mill too many, remember you can kind of recycle some of the cards with the other one's effects, especially with Dante being able to add one. I mean, you can, if you get like 5, it's not that big of a deal, but if you're up in like the 6, 7s, yeah, Dark Arm might not be able to be dropped, but nonetheless, Dark Arm is still a fantastic card. And I was thinking, what would actually destroy this deck? And I found out this card would actually destroy the deck. If you just go ahead and summon Flying Sea on them, that would really screw over them because everything would just get destroyed and they can't X-Wez, and this causes a lot of problems for the deck. So if the deck ever gets popular, guys, get your Flying Seas ready and you'll be able to combat this deck relatively easy. But for the most part, I think the deck is okay. I'll get some gameplay footage for you guys. I've actually kind of watched how the deck plays. It plays a little bit of a slower paced game. It does not OTK at all, unless of course you're able to drop things like Dark Arm Dragon and a BLS in the same turn. Other than that, I mean, you could drop a Dark Arm and have a monster that has like 2500 attack. You can push for a lot of damage and then finish them off next turn, but it is not generally oriented around an OTK, but basically you're able to get one strong monster on board, and then you can maybe drop something like a Pleiades, a BLS, or a Dark Arm. But if you're able to drop 2 of these after you already have your monster established, then yes, you can do a significant amount of damage to your opponent and probably finish them off. But like I said, the deck playstyle is a little bit slower, but it can maintain a lot of free advantage, and that is always good in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Almost reminds me of like the TGs or the gadgets, because like everything is just like go +1, be able to add, be able to search, and all the other good stuff. But if they ever are able to actually get out a boss monster, and I think that they probably won't, because Graph's effect says if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Burning Abyss monster from your deck, except for, of course, himself. But that is crazy. That's no restrictions on that. So I'm glad that in a sense that they're not getting a huge boss monster with like, you know, 3000 attack. You can, I don't know, banish a Burning Abyss monster from the graveyard to like destroy a card or something like that. I feel like because the graph exists, we won't actually ever get a card that is super broken that can just be special summoned from the deck, because this would just be OP. And I think the deck to actually pull up boss monster just has to use things from other cards already, basically is what I'm saying. But nonetheless, it's a pretty cool archetype, and I think that it has a little bit of potential because it's just a rank 3 spam deck, and on top of that, you're able to, like I said, maintain a lot of free advantage. But anyways, let me know what you guys think on the archetype. If you played it yourself, give me some suggestions, because I'm about to build my deck right now. But thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Azneyes out.